Pakistan Defense Minister says country in open war with Afghanistan after strikes.
Pakistan's defense minister has said the country is in open war with Afghanistan, after Islamabad launched airstrikes on Kabul as part of a wave of attacks across the country.
Our patience has now run out, said Khawaja Muhammad Asif following the attacks. The strikes came after the Afghan Taliban announced a major offensive against Pakistani military posts near the border on Thursday night.
The latest attacks follow months of clashes between the two neighbouring nations, despite agreeing to a fragile ceasefire in October. Last year's negotiations failed to reach a broader agreement for a complete end to hostilities, with both sides blaming each other for not engaging seriously with talks. The Taliban said a retaliatory operation had been launched at around 2000 local time 15:30 GMT on Thursday. It said it had captured 19 Pakistani military posts and 2 bases, adding that 55 Pakistani soldiers had been killed. The BBC has not been able to verify these claims. Pakistan quickly retaliated, saying the Taliban had miscalculated and opened unprovoked fire on multiple locations across the border in its northwestern province of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which had been met with an immediate and effective response by Islamabad's security forces. It then launched a series of bombing raids on Afghanistan in the early hours of Friday morning, striking targets in Kabul, Kandahar and Paktika in response to what they called unprovoked Afghan attacks. All 3 cities are close to the shared Pakistani-Afghan mountainous border that spans 2,600 kilometers 1,615 miles. Pakistan's military spokesman Ahmed Sharif Chaudhry said it had hit 22 Afghan military targets and killed more than 200 Taliban fighters. At least 12 Pakistani soldiers had died, he added. But the Taliban spokesman Mujahid said just 13 Taliban fighters had been killed and 22 others injured, while 13 civilians had been injured and an indeterminate number killed.
The BBC has not been able to verify these numbers.
During these hostilities, both sides have claimed to have inflicted heavy losses on the other while suffering little damage to their own. In response to the strikes, Zabihullah Mujahid, the Afghan Taliban spokesman, published then subsequently deleted a post on X that the group had launched strikes early on Friday on Pakistani military positions in Kandahar and Helmand, 2 provinces in Afghanistan.
The Afghan Taliban has said it carried out airstrikes on several targets within Pakistan on Friday morning.
Sources in the Taliban government told the BBC these were with drones launched from Afghanistan. Pakistan's Information Minister Atta Tarar said its military thwarted Afghan drones targeting Swabi, Nowshera and Abbottabad, which is a military garrison city housing the Army's military academy. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said his country's forces had the full capability to crush any aggressive ambitions, vowing that there would be no compromise in defending their beloved homeland. In Afghanistan, Taliban officials on Friday claimed Pakistani rockets hit a refugee camp in Nangarhar housing Afghan citizens recently arrived from Pakistan and injured at least 9 people.
The BBC has not been able to verify this.
Residents and local officials in the Afghan cities hit told BBC Afghan the situation appeared to have calmed down since the attacks, although people on both sides of the border remained on high alert. Pakistan's Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar has spoken to his Turkish counterpart Hakan Fidan, the ministry said, and agreed to stay closely engaged on evolving developments as they both stressed the importance of peace and stability. Dar, who is in Saudi Arabia for an official visit, also held a similar conversation with the country's Foreign Minister Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud. Meanwhile, Iran has offered to facilitate dialogue between Pakistan and Afghanistan as it urged them to resolve their differences through good neighborliness and dialogue. UK Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper also urged
the 2 sides to re-engage in talks, take immediate steps toward de-escalation and avoid further harm to civilians.
While a fragile ceasefire between the 2 countries was agreed in October, negotiations failed to reach a broader agreement for a complete end to hostilities, with both sides blaming the other for not engaging seriously with talks. Pakistan has long accused Afghanistan's Taliban government of supporting anti-Pakistan terrorists, who it blames for carrying out suicide attacks in the country, including at a mosque in the capital recently. BBC Sport lists the best-performing batters and bowlers from the Men's T20 World Cup in India and Sri Lanka. Fixtures, results and scorecards for the 2026 ICC Men's T20 World Cup in India and Sri Lanka. Pakistan says the strikes were retaliation for recent suicide bombings in the country.
Zimbabwe finished top of Group B at the T20 World Cup by stunning co-host Sri Lanka. West Indies maintained their unbeaten record, and Canada bid farewell to Navneet Dhaliwal with another defeat. Find out who is in each squad for the Men's T20 World Cup, which begins on February 7th. Copyright 2026 BBC. The BBC is not responsible for the content of external sites. Read about our approach to external linking. You have reached the end of our in-depth report. For more deep dives, please subscribe to Neuron News Global. Stay informed, stay ahead.